Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. So now let's talk about why silver prices fell hard. And this had to do with the FOMC meeting. A lot of times leading up to it, silver prices start rising dramatically because people are speculating, assuming what's going to happen or what they're going to say when Federal Chairman Jerome Powell comes out and says yada yada yada. Then the meeting happens. People see what's actually going to happen, which is still an assumption since they just say we expect by the year 2023. But regardless, the meeting came out, silver fell extremely hard. So we're going to cover this article, Silver Price Forecast. Silver falls hard after the FOMC meeting. The silver market's fallen rather hard during the session on Thursday as the market continues to react to the meeting. Now you could see heading into the weekend, on Friday, silver was at $23.23. So it, bounced up from $23.07, but it still is a lot lower than, earlier in the week on Wednesday when we were about to pass through $24, which is extremely high. Last time we saw that was in early 2021 during the Wall Street silver movement. Now, I have covered some articles recently from some very, very bullish positions. Experts saying by the year 2024, we could see it passing its all-time high of $50. And if it does that, silver would explode. And I mean triple digits not long after, because there's such a big resistance level at that $50 level that we hit at in 1980 with the Hunt brothers situation, and also in 2011. Now, I might actually cover the Hunt brothers situation. I've made like a 4-part docu-series on this a couple years ago, but it was a couple years ago, and I have a lot of new subscribers, probably triple the amount I have, or I have triple the amount now, so I think it would be nice for people to understand what happened to these three brothers, how they were deemed these evil criminals in the public eye because the government didn't want to expose why they truly were investing into precious metals. And that's because they understood the dollar is collapsing or worthless, right? Regardless, though, another very interesting story. A lot's actually been coming out lately. These are article after article, and you're all going to catch it here. Now, I can't fit this all in one video, obviously, so you got to subscribe, stay tuned, because I do post daily. And if you do like this video, then please like the video. Precious metals channels, especially silver stacking channels, they don't do very good on YouTube, right? We're not like the mainstream channels, so we got to support each other. Always like other fellow stacking channels' videos, like them, leave comments. That engagement really does help. With that said, let's talk silver. So here's a price forecast. And I like that they do kind of break this down. There's a video that you could watch. The link will be in the description. So the silver market's fallen rather hard during the trading session on Thursday as we continue to react to the FOMC. See, at this point, silver was a little overdone anyway, so a pullback certainly makes quite a bit of sense. And that's what I was saying, actually. It was probably Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, when I was making my video talking about this. I was letting people know there's going to be a correction. Look at the 1-month chart. See how we were down. It was going to break below 19. We were looking at possibly $16, $17 if it broke below that support level. But all of a sudden, we're climbing up to almost breaking through 24. And I was letting people know for something like gold and silver, this is a very, very sharp incline. And with crypto, that's perfectly fine, whatever. But there's no price stability being built. So if it does, or when it does, start to correct, or that top is felt, since we were in a little bit of overbought territory, it could, it could either one, crash, but it didn't because we didn't go that much higher. We stopped at 24, or two, it's just going to correct a little bit. Now, don't freak out when it does. Now, yes, now we see that little bit of a correction, and I hope people aren't freaking out, thinking it's just going to go down forever. A lot of times people are so emotionally invested, they think it's just going to go up, 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 up. And that's not the reality. It goes up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little more. And that's healthy because you're building stability at those middle prices. But anyways, we have broken below the hammer-shaped candle from the Wednesday session, making it a hanging man. That doesn't necessarily mean the market's going to collapse, but there are some technical traders that are going to be paying close attention to it. And this is what I hate. Oh, it's a hanging man, so that means the market's going to collapse. You cannot try to assume or try to throw out a prediction or a forecast off of words or off of what it's done in the past, because we are living in a much different world now. And that's the one thing I hate about charts or technical analysis or forecasts, because they're basing it strictly off of just the numbers, but you have to incorporate also what's happening in the economy, but you also have to incorporate the unknown variable. The unknown variable, right? The $23 level could be supported, but if we break down below there, then it's likely to go much lower. So let's look. Right now, it's still, yeah, I mean, that would make sense because we're still at $23.43. If it did break below 23, yeah, because you see how there's not much stability built here. It went from 20 to $23.50 within 2 days. That was Monday and then up to Friday, but also already by, Wednesday or Tuesday, we're already up, a couple dollars. So yeah, if it broke below 23, but it didn't, right? There's support there, a lot of support there. So that's good news for people that want the price to stay higher. See, I wouldn't care. I'd love it to go back down to $11 like it did in March of 2020, because then I could buy my silver for twice as cheap. And why wouldn't I want that if I know that the price is going to go back up? If you think $11 is too much for an ounce of silver, then please just exit the market and don't do anything with your life. No, I'm kidding. But the point is that silver's cheap at $11 or $26 or even $50. And if you don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you. So let's keep moving on. Ultimately, this is the market that I think continues to see a lot of volatility, but eventually we should see value hunters come back into the market. The 50-day EMA has broken to the upside and crossed the 200-day EMA. This sets up the golden cross. So a lot of people are looking at it through that prism. However, it's probably worth noting that every time silver gets close to that $26 level, it runs into a lot of trouble, meaning there's a lot of resistance there, meaning that it's probably manipulated there, like they go on to say in the next paragraph. It's worth noting that the paper market for silver has been manipulated for years, as JP Morgan has forced to pay massive fines for doing just that. Right? A fifth ex-employee just got charged with manipulating the price, rigging the price. It's called spoofing. It's when they place false buy or sell orders on these exchanges, cancel the order before it goes through, making everyone else on that exchange thinking that all this silver is being bought up or all this silver is getting sold, and then they do what they want to cash out. And it's basically just they're fixing the price, right? It's a fixed price. They've been doing this for decades upon decades. 5 of their employees now. It was 3 of their employees getting sent to prison, and yes, prison, not jail. And now 2 more. And it's just getting worse, because I'm sure a lot of other people besides those 5 guys just did it, and not just JP Morgan. I've covered the other banks like Merrill Lynch, also the Dutch bank, have also gotten caught doing this as well. So let's keep moving on. It's because of this that'll be interesting to see how much silver or how much further we can go to the upside for silver. I also believe that a lot of this will come down to interest rates in the US dollar, which, yes, it will. A lot of this is still tied to the dollar index. I think sooner than later, it's going to start having a bigger effect on the fundamentals like solar panels, like the silver supply deficit. And a lot of people are starting to come out and say this now. It's funny that I've been talking about the fundamentals for a long time now, the macro. Most people just pay attention to the micro, which makes sense, right? It's great to put your money, your dollars, depleting dollars, into gold and silver. But I've been talking about silver's true potential is from the supply deficit. And now all these other people are starting to come out and talk about the supply deficit. That's the funny part. Monetary demand, but you keep scrolling down, and what do we get into down here? Silver's demand for solar, 5G, EVs, brazing, soldering, electronics, critical metal, and this is really what's going to push silver up. Nobody was making articles like this even probably more than a year ago. I have been. I'm not trying to say I told you so, but David Morgan has as well. Andy Schechtman has. Keith Neumeyer, Ted Butler. Those guys get it. All right, we've all been making videos about this. Now everyone else is jumping on board. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm glad they are. I'm just saying that this has been common knowledge if you watch my channel for a long time now. Regardless, that's what's happening. Let's look into this, though. This is the important part. The market has fallen rather hard during the trading session on Thursday. Now remember, that's Thursday. Friday, it held that support. That's the important part to take note of. It held the support. They didn't know that when this article was written. So and this is the important part right here, right? We're talking about how the dollar index is going to hold a lot of, or have a large effect on silver. If the US dollar starts to take off again, we may be getting close to the top in silver. And yes, it will take off again, then it's going to drop again. But we know the inevitable collapse of the dollar in the years ahead is going to push silver up. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2. Think about it. It's as easy as this. The dollar index and silver are very closely or directly negatively correlated, right? They're negatively correlated because when the dollar index is high, gold and silver is low, vice versa. If we know for sure that the dollar is headed into the ground as it's lost 98% of its purchasing power, as we are over $30 trillion in debt, let's go to usdebtclock.org. If we know it's $31 trillion in debt now, if we know that the dollar is collapsing, and we know that when the dollar collapses or when the dollar index is down, gold and silver goes up, what does that mean? That means that silver inevitably is going to come out on top because the dollar isn't going to last forever. That itself is as blatantly obvious as it can be to invest into precious metals. But then incorporating everything else, it's just, it's a ticking time bomb. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? A lot of other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff going on. I'll be covering it all on this channel. If you thought this video was educational, informational, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. Go check out the podcast I did with Andy Schechtman. Once a week, we have a show where we just talk silver. If you guys don't know, Andy Schechtman's the CEO of Miles Franklin. So it's really cool to get he's one of the biggest precious metals dealers in the world. That's the company that filled that $50 million order from that billionaire from Texas. He filled that order in 2 days, 900,000 eagles, over 100,000 ounces of constitutional silver and gold. He filled that in 2 days. He's one of the biggest players in the game, and I have a show with him every week, so we get to hear from behind the scenes from an actual legitimate dealer that is actually still one of the only few authorized dealers that works with the U.S. Mint. We could hear him. He tells us behind the scenes stuff that the U.S. Mint is telling him and that he has to follow. It's crazy some of the stuff he says. So it's very cool to be able to get a little inside scoop behind the curtain of what's going on with the producer side of things, not just the consumer. And if you want to purchase through them, send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. Their website will be up soon. But regardless, go check out that because Andy talks about a lot of very important stuff regarding the BRICS nations, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia. 3 of those countries have been known for piling massive amounts of silver and gold lately. Why? Because they're making a digital currency backed by physical commodities. Plus, they have a very keen interest in keeping the world in oil. They don't want to go green because it's oil that they own. So if we know that solar panels needs a lot of silver, right? Solar panels and EVs and all that's because we're going green. What if they took all the silver so we can't make those solar panels? Is that what they're doing? Probably. Plus, if it's backed by physical commodities, this digital currency making, it makes perfect sense. It's all starting to add up, and Andy Scheckman describes and breaks this stuff down beautifully. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe. I post daily videos if you like this stuff. And like the video if you did like the video. Support your local stackers. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.